Hello friends, we are back. Today is 28th December. So we will cover one by one every news of the Hindu. And let's start. First is any citizen of India can buy non-agricultural land in Jammu and Kashmir State Center. Congress must reach out to former leaders VCK chief Mavlavan. Israel begins trial of 4 dose of COVID-19 vaccine. Australia takes strange hold in Boxing Day Asage Test. Okay, these are not so important. Side news is Delhi government likely to discuss GRAP today. Health Minister Satyendra Jain is likely to chair a meeting on Tuesday on the implementation of various provisions of the Graded Response Action Plan (GRAP) due to the uptick in COVID-19 cases in the capital. Delhi government sources said. Second is Kanpur cash seizure, noteman back in focus. The arrest of Kanpur-based perfume trader Fusion on charges of tax evasion and the recovery of over 257 crore in cash and jewelry from its premises has found a place in the BJP's election campaign in Uttar Pradesh and also brought the issue of noteman into political discourse 5 years after it dominated the 2017 assembly election. Hope you are understanding what I am reading. For starting age of 15 to 17 age group to get Covaxin from January 3 as we already have discussed yesterday that Modi have already announced about 15 to 17 12 to 18 age group may get booster dose. So it is official announcement from Covaxin group. Okay. Third dose for seniors only 39 weeks after second. This news is notable. You can note down. Third dose for seniors only after 39 weeks after second. The move to vaccinate those born in 2007 or earlier benefits is school students. Teenagers aged 15 to 17 who will be eligible for vaccination from January 3 will be administered only Covaxin doses. A note from the Health Ministry said on Monday healthcare workers and frontline workers who have received 2 doses would be eligible for precaution dose from January 10. Though dose, though, uh, those with a gap of at least 39 weeks since the second dose could be prioritized. Those 60 years and above with comorbidities who have received the 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine would on doctor's advice, he provided a similar precaution dose from 10 January. The prioritization and sequencing of this dose would also be based on the completion of 9 months, 39 weeks from the date of administration of second dose. According to the Health Ministry, those born in 2007 or earlier will be able to register on CoWIN from January 3. They can do it online through an existing account or create a new account through a unique mobile number. They can also be registered on site by a verifier and a vaccinator in a facilitated registration mode. Appointments can be booked online or on site. Healthcare workers, frontline workers, and citizens aged 60 or above with the comorbidities will be able to fix appointments for the precaution dose through their existing COVID accounts. Okay. So this is important. You can note down it. Missionaries of Charity denied the FCRA note. Some adverse inputs were noticed ministry. The Missionaries of Charity, which is registered in Kolkata, has more than 250 bank accounts across the country. The Union Home Ministry said on Monday that it had refused to renew the FCRA registration of Missionaries of Charity (MOC), a Catholic religious congregation set up by Noble Laureate Mother Teresa, as some adverse inputs were noticed. The Foreign Contribution Regulation Act (FCRA). The Foreign Contribution Regulation Act registration is mandatory for any NGO or association to receive foreign funds or donations. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and the Archdiocese of Calcutta expressed shock over the denial. The MOC said that as the FCRA application had not been approved, the congregation had asked their centers not to operate the bank accounts associated with it. According to its 2020-21 annual financial returns filed on December 13, the congregation received over 75 crore from 347 foreign individuals and 39 institutional donors. It had a balance of 27.3 crore in its FCR account from the previous year, and the total balance stood at 103.76 crore. The NGO registered in Kolkata has more than 250 bank accounts across the country to utilize the foreign funds. Some of the biggest donors are missionaries of charity in the US and UK that sent over 15 crore for primary health care, education assistance, and treatment of leprosy patients and others. The Home Ministry said it refused to renew the registration on December 25 for not meeting the eligibility condition. No request revision application has been received from the missionaries of charity for review of this refusal. So this is also important. You can understand what they want to convey, that a missionary of charity groups should review the application of home ministry so that they can renew their registration. Okay, overall news gist, so that they can identify the fraud. They can identify the case if there is any fraud or mismatch in a balance that they are receiving from foreign. So these funds should be invested for only education purpose or healthcare purpose, or for the purpose for the purposes they are intended to. Third, BJP announces alliance with the Amrinder Dhinsa new committee to decide seat sharing. The BJP on Monday formally announced its alliance with the Punjab Lok Sabha headed by former Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh retired and the Shiromani Akali Dal Sanyukta party floated by former Akali Dal leader Sukhdev Singh Dhinsa. The BJP said the three parties would issue a common vision document for the Punjab Assembly election and form a committee with members from each to decide on sharing of seats. Union Jal Shakti Minister Gajan Singh Shekhawat, Punjab polls in charge of the BJP, announced this after he, along with Captain Singh and Mr. Dhinsa, met Home Minister Amit Shah and BJP President JP Nadda at Mr. Shah's residence. Six Naxals killed in Sukma encounter joint Telangana Chhattisgarh action. Six Mayosists, four of them women, were killed in an exchange of fire with the joint team of the Telangana and Chhattisgarh police forces in Sukma district of Chhattisgarh on Monday morning on a tip off that a large group of 1 minute. Okay. On a tip of that, a large group of Mayosists were planning attacks on police along the Telangana-Chhattisgarh border. A joint operation by the Telangana police greyhounds, Bhadradri Gudam District Police District Reserve Guard Kistaram Sukma and the 141 CRPF battalion was launched in the Persa Pesalapadu forest area in which six died in firing, said the Superintendent of Police Bhadradri Kothagudam District Sunil Dutt. Weapons including .303 rifles, DPVL guns, and rocket launchers were recovered from the site. Okay. Protest. Protesting doctors say thrashed by police call for a total shutdown. Delhi police say protesters were detained, deny use of force. Resident doctors being detained by the Delhi police during a protest against delay in NEET counseling. Resident doctors who have been picketing work in protest against the delay in NEET PG counseling said they were brutally tracked and detained by the Delhi police on Monday. The doctors were marching to the Supreme Court when they were stopped by the police near ITO in the afternoon. They were detained and later released. A statement from the Federation of the Resident Doctors Association FORDA said there will be a complete shutdown of all healthcare institutions today onwards. We strongly condemn this brutality and demand immediate release of our FORDA representatives and resident doctors, the statement said. However, the police said 12 doctors were detained and taken to the Rajendra Nagar police station, after which they were let off. A senior police officer said no doctor was threatened. We had been trying to pacify them since 9:30 a.m. but to no avail. They wanted to go to Supreme Court, and that is when we had to detain them. During detention, they got violent and also broke the windows of our bus. The officer said. FORDA General Secretary Karl Sorov said 1,000 odd resident doctors had started marching from Maulana Azad Medical College ground around 10 a.m. protested peacefully. We were met with the police barricades. We sat there peacefully and protested. We told the police that we want to march to the Supreme Court and protest outside it, like we did outside Nirman Bhavan, but they didn't allow us. Around 4 p.m., they started detaining us. Then we were verbally abused and physically assaulted, said Dr. Kulsor of some 5,000 to 6,000 resident doctors in the city boycotted work on Monday, including COVID-19 duty. He added a black day in the history of medical fraternity of the nation. Resident doctors protesting peacefully of expedite NEET PG counseling 2021 in Delhi were brutally thrashed, dragged, and detained by the cops. We urge all the state RDH of nation to join the agitation. We all stand united in this fight against injustice, the FORDA statement said. Okay. Kerala tops Niti Aayog Health Index UP at bottom. For the fourth year in a row, Kerala has topped a ranking of states on health indicators. Uttar Pradesh has come in at the bottom. The health index is part of a report commissioned by the Niti Aayog, the World Bank, and the Union Health and Family Welfare Ministry. Kerala is followed by Tamil Nadu and Telangana, which improved its ranking. The health index score is prepared based on the state's performance across a large set of indicators that are divided into three broad domains: health outcomes, governance, and information. And key inputs processes health outcomes, for instance, including parameters such as neonatal mortality rate, under 5 mortality rate, and sex ratio at birth. Governance includes institutional delivery, average occupancy of senior officers in key posts, earmarked for health. Okay. Big boost for up in Chandigarh local post. Okay, this is important news, so we will cover in detail. It wins 14 out of 35 votes. No single party manages to secure a clear majority. The Chandigarh Municipal Corporation election results on Monday through a hung house as no single political party secured a clear majority. The Aam Aadmi Party emerged as the single largest party in the municipal election by winning 14 vote seats in the 35-member corporation. AAP contested the election for the first time and emerged as the highest vote gainer. The ruling BJP won 12 seats and remained at the second spot. The Congress won 8 seats, while the Siromania Kalidas secured one seat. According to the State Election Commission, no single party was able to secure the majority figure of 19 seats. The electoral battle for the Chandigarh Municipal Corporation was being keenly watched as the Union Territory is the joint capital of Punjab and Haryana, and assembly election in Punjab are only a few months away. The election results have come as a big push for up. While the BJP has suffered a blow as it has now low control over the corporation by losing its majority. The BJP sitting mayor Ravikant Sharma was among the prominent people who lost the election. Two other former BJP mayors, Davesh Modgil and Rajesh Kalia, also lost. Big wigs in campaign. To garner support for the BJP, Haryana Chief Minister Manohar Lal, Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Jai Ram Thakur, and even Union Minister Anurag Thakur also campaigned in the city. Also, the Member of Parliament from Chandigarh, Kiran Kher, is from the BJP. Delhi Chief Minister and AAP Supremo Arvind Kejriwal was the key campaigner for the party in the election. Delhi MLA and AAP Punjab Affairs co-in-charge Raghav Chadha and Chandigarh's victory is a trailer. Punjab election will be full picture and people of the state will choose Kejriwal model of honest governance too, just like people of Chandigarh gave a chance to him. Okay. So without wasting time, first we will cover editorial of today's newspaper. Mm, First news is a progressive step formation of panel to look into withdrawal of AFSP AFSPA from Nagaland is a welcome move. The announcement by the Nagaland government that a high-powered panel will be set up to look into the withdrawal of Armed Forces Special Powers Act in the state addresses a key concern in the Northeast following the massacre, which where a botched ambush by an armed force amid the unit led to the deaths of 15 civilians earlier this week, as is typical of how the Union government has dealt with issues concerning Nagaland in the recent past. The Ministry of Home Affairs MHA, whose additional secretary Northeast is to head the committee, has been tight-lipped about the proposed panel with the information about it ima- eman- emanating only from the Nagaland government. Nevertheless, the gesture to set up a panel, even if it is acknowledged only by the Nagaland government, should help in us should help in assuaging some concerns of citizens of the state who had immediately associated the massacre with the impunity affordable by the unpopular act. The Indian Army has also reiterated that it deeply regretted the loss of lives and that in probe into the incident was progressive in the Nagaland government, and its statement mentioned that a court of inquiry will initiate a disciplinary proceeding against the army unit and personnel involved in the incident. The act is in place in Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, three districts of Arunachal Pradesh, and areas falling within the jurisdiction of eight police stations of state bordering Assam, with the authority to use force or open fire to maintain public order in disturbed areas. The Meghalaya Chief Minister has already sought its revocation to the northeast, while Manipur is also set to discuss the demand for its repeal. People in the Northeast associate the series of civilian killings in the region over a number of years with the act being in effect. Judge Justice Jeevan Reddy committee set up by the previous UP-led government at the center in 2005 had recommended the repeal of act, calling it highly undesirable and that it created an impression that civilians in the Northeast were being targeted for hostile treatment. But the act has remained in place because of the resolute opposition to its repeal by the army. The panel can take recourse to studying precedents. Tripura revoked the act in May 2015 after noticing an improvement on the ground in the state, while Meghalaya did the same on April 1st, 2018. Both states did so after the act was in force for decades. A clear-cut understanding on the definition and the extent of disturbed areas in Nagaland following discussions among the state, the MHA and the armed forces representatives will go a long way in working towards a rethink on the act's relevance in the entire region. Okay, and second is your tightening grip. China is hoping Hong Kong's financial status will not be affected by its political situation. July 1, 2022 will mark 25 years since Hong Kong returned to China next year, and anniversary is embossed with a special significance. 1 minute. Okay, continue. It marks the halfway point in Deng Xiaoping's 15-year guarantee made in 1997 that Hong Kong's previous capitalist system and way of life shall remain unchanged for 50 years, a promise enshrined in the basic law under which Hong Kong is governed. For much of the past 24 years, Hong Kong defied wide expectations that the one country, two system model would crumble shortly after the handover. On the contrary, it thrived as an unlikely democratic enclave within an authoritarian state and as Asia's financial center, which global firms eyed as a gateway to the China market. Recent developments, Home Weaver suggests the model is coming under unprecedented stress. Sorry. On December 23, construction crew quietly removed one of the most well-known statues, the Pillar of Same, standing on campus. One minute. Pillar of Same, standing on the campus of Hong Kong University since 1997. It was erected after a commemoration that year of June 4, 1989, crackdown at Tiananmen Square. The annual Tiananmen Vigil at Hong Kong's Victoria Park itself became a symbol of the freedom enjoyed in the SAR. This year, the park was cordoned off by the police, and the anniversary went without commemoration. Last week, memorials to Tiananmen at three other universities were also removed. A new national security law passed by China last year has been cited as the reason for the actions. The law also led to Hong Kong's most well-known pro-democracy newspaper, Apple Daily, sieging publication. Meanwhile, the SAR government is revising the academic curriculum to promote patriotism and dilute the emphasis on liberal values. The law, along with a radical overhaul of Hong Kong's electoral system earlier this year, undoubtedly marks the two biggest changes since the handover. The electoral reforms reduced the share of directly elected representatives in Hong Kong's legislature and introduced a new candidate review committee to ensure only patriots can run for office. Pro-Beijing candidates swept the Patriots only polls on December 19, which saw the lowest turnaround of any poll since 1997, with many of the pro-democracy opposition figures of either boycotting the election or unable to contest, a marked change from the December 2019 district election held shortly after months of protest that were swept by the opposition. The changes reflect Beijing's sense of strength and perception that it is no longer bound by commitments made 24 years ago. Chinese official betting on the access to the China market offered by Hong Kong believe the lure of commerce will not dent Hong Kong's financial status. This may well be true, but the impact of changes is being felt elsewhere. Across the Taiwan Strait, fewer and fewer people view the one country, two systems idea once mooted as a possible model for peaceful unification as a future that they would want. Let us to the editor. The impunity with which hate speeches and calls for violence against the minorities are being made is a matter of deep concern. Three seems to be little action even after having clear visual evidence of hate speech. If India is to realize its true potential, it will need to rein in such elements and protect the liberal, inclusive, and secular foundation of its democracy and constitution. Beginning with hate speech in Haridwar to vandalism in Ambala, it is heart-wrenching to read about incidents of hatred and intolerance in a country known for its unity in diversity. India is battling a number of issues, and these kinds of internal rifts only add to the trauma. Internal peace is crucial for the development of the nation. The authority must take cognizance of the increased intensity and frequency of such incidents and to provide adequate safeguards. lest the country loses its credentials of being a secular nation, which is what sets it apart from its immediate neighbors. The Prime Minister must take a stand and unequivocally condemn these attacks. It must be made clear that any ideology that premises itself on hate and exclusion has no place in our country's pluralistic tradition. For peace of mind during my active service life, there was no need for any medical health and health support. Thanks to my genes and healthy habits, at 72, I still have no health problem. But the fact that I might have to incur huge expenditure in case I fall sick now is daunting. Similar is the case of millions of adult Indians. There is urgent need to have a benevolent national policy with the necessary budgetary support for all senior citizens, ensuring proper subsidized, free, timely, and adequate medical attention. Editorial December 27. This will also ensure peace of mind. Today, we find the elders suffer a great degree of neglect. This has been well highlighted. The government needs to expand assistance and support to elders, even for the in order to ensure a healthy and comfortable life for them. It is incumbent upon society and as well as government to attach utmost significance to the welfare of elders. The timely article is a clear reminder of this. Judicial appointments. The chairman of the Rajya Sabha was disappointed that the wonderful first speech of CPIM MP John Bittas in Parliament on the appointments of judges had not been reported in the national media. There was a great deal of statesmanship and constitutional concern in his speech. He was not for caste but for castelessness, which makes a world of difference through historical wrongs have to be righted. While Mr. Bittas was critical of the collegium system of judges selecting judges, the fallout would not have been severe had the power that we kept in mind the democratic, secular, socialistic, and welfare ideas. While appointing judges, regrettably judicial appointments have become contactual and not constitutional. Mr. Bittas was also critical of dynastic appointments to the judiciary. This is not the constitutional dynasty which the framers of the constitution, including Dr. Ambedkar, contemplated. It was the dynasty of values they had in mind. In short, Mr. Bittas, apart from the many other things he said, he implied that our courts have become family courts, which the Supreme Court of India should endeavor to avoid. Desmond Tutu. In Bishop Desmond Tutu's passing, the world has lost one of the greatest champions of freedom and the tenacious fighter against the ab- abominable policy of apartheid. It was the domitable spirit and leadership of Nelson Mandela and members of the African National Congress, supported by the activism of spokesmen like Desmond Tutu, which led South Africa to abandon its apartheid. Okay. Uh, we will discuss important article, the cold truth about India's income inequality. Uh, Far from passing for social and economic equality, the state is planning systems and principles to strengthen the divide. Okay. The latest edition of the World Inequality Reports has confirmed that the world continues to sprint down the path of inequality. Global multimillionaires have captured a disproportionate share of global wealth growth over the past several decades. The top 1% took 38% of all additional wealth accumulated since the mid 1990s, whereas the bottom 50% captured just 2% of it. India's case is particularly stark. The foreword by Nobel laureates economist Avijit Banerjee and Issa Duflo sage, India is now among the most unequal countries in the world. This means that the gap between the top 1% and bottom 50% is widest for India. Among the major economies in the world, the gap is wider in India than the United States, United Kingdom, China, Russia, and France. Oh. poverty has persisted. The journey of this inequality over time reveals that a socialist inspired 5-year plan contributed to reducing the share of the top 10% who had 50% of the income under colonial rule to 35%, 40% in the early decades. After independence, however, since the mid 1980s, deregulation and liberalization policies have led to one of the most extreme increase in income and wealth inequality observed in the world. While the top 1% has majority profited from economic reforms. Growth among low and middle income groups has been relatively slow, and poverty has persisted in recent years. On the economic front, India post 2014 seem to have got into phase of an even greater reliance on big business and privatization to fix economics, and the result has been to biggest even more inequality. The latest World Inequality Report firmly concludes that the bottom 50% share has gone down to 13%. India stands out as a poor and very unequal country with an affluent elite static growth rate. But beyond all this, what bears emphasis is the observation of Ionindyo Chakravarti in the Tribune about what was happening to the income of bottom 50% in India since 1951. This grew at the rate of 2.2% per year between 1951 and 1981. But what is telling is that the growth rate remained exactly the same over the past 40 years. This makes it clear that irrespective of the economics or politics at play, the state of the bottom half of Indian barely changed with the abysmal rate of income growth. That inequality in terms of the immobility of those at the bottom, at least one half of India stood irrespective of the economic policies adopted, is an refutable fact. It was because of social conditions and constraints in India. Clearly, the very social structure that underpinned India encouraged and when this inequality plenty changed after India's constitution was adopted in the Nehruvian years, and after that too a bid was made to battle the basic absence of social democracy in India, but it remained confined to states and regions. Therefore, one sees a little more mobility and well-being in states such as Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Parts of Karnataka and Andhra also recorded attempts at smashing social structure that had pushed us those at the bottom to life in perpetual poverty and deprivation and sorry, those at attempts showed in better economic prospects. So beyond these economic policies which have been fanning inequality, it is the ruling party tying faith directly into politics and the backing of old social structures, so far from getting rid of them, strengthening them each day. That should set alarm bells ringing. The linkage between our social structure and income inequality and poverty must be faced up to survey and data. Globally, the economic transformation of many, and particularly the lessening of inequality, has never happened unless socially regressive modes have been challenged. Path breaking research across the 106 countries in 2018 tackled the elephant in the room when researchers from the University of Bristol in the UK and Tennessee in the US used data from the World Values Survey to get a measure of the importance of religion spanning the entire 20th century 1900 to 2000 and found that secularization precedes economic development. Furthermore, the findings show that secularization only predicts future economic development when it is accompanied by a respect and tolerance for individual rights. That can only happen when beyond sufferance of diversity or tolerance, a society is able to see all shades of human of varying caste, creeds, faith, color, gender, and choices are equal. The trial the central aspect of secularization is your linking of religion from public life. It leads to respect for each citizen, respect of their faith, and for science and rationalism. This is clear from the European experience over century edge of Asian centuries such as China, Vietnam, South Korea, and others. The old social structure need to be smashed and not resurrected. one size nation is flawed. The rapid movement of India is reverse direction of secularization with the union government's now stated policy to privatize members of one religion and one language has severe economic consequences to end the widening income inequality. Only reflect that the quick descent into one size nation does not fit its many diversity. The avenues available for all kinds of citizens to make a life informal, if not formal, is deeply inhibited by India's social fabric being torn by the government's new priorities and policies, far from pushing for social and economic equality, which can be done by dismantling old sibolents in which India's rank social and economic inequalities uh, are anchored. The state is now fanning systems and principles to further them. This fundamentally distorts the hard wiring that had made modern India possible, criminalizing the freedom of religion and choice, which is what the Indian compact is based on. By hunting out of diverse, mixed, or combined cosmopolitan age, inauthentic has consequences, both social and economic. It was exactly this that V.R. Ambedkar has warned of. In in politics, we will recognizing the principle of one man, one vote, and one vote, one value. In our social and economic life, we shall, by reason of our social and economic structure, continue to deny the principle of one man, one value. How long shall we continue to live this life of contradictions? How long shall we continue to deny equality in our social and economic life? B.R. Ambedkar had issued a grim warning in 1949 that if we continue to deny social and economic inequality for long, we could blow up the structure of political democracy. We risk much more. There is no destiny of nations foretold. Choices are made and the destiny is created. By choosing to reverse the idea of modernization, linking religion firmly into public sphere, trying to unmake the modernity India had tried to set up for itself as an ideal, may we may be already setting ourselves on a narrow path which ends in places that scores of nations in the world and several in our neighborhood have already arrived at only to know their peril and dismay. Why the Aadhaar voter link must be stopped? Aadhaar used to construct electoral database has resulted in exclusion and will help in profiling the voter. The Election Laws Amendment Bill 2021 that was passed in haste in the winter session in the Lok Sabha and which facilitates amendments to the representation of People's Act is a step toward implementing online-based remote e-voting for which the use of Aadhaar will be the primary identity. The linking of Aadhaar with one vote's voter ID was primarily to build a biometric dependent voting system from the very beginning that the toll claim made to support the exchange was to fight fraud and duplicates in the electoral rolls. At the same time, in practice, in places where it was used, done with the massing of elections photo identity card EPIC data with surveillance data PSH, it facilitated a selective removal of voters from the lists. In the 2018 Telangana Assembly election, for instance, the con- consequence of such a measure led to the deletion of an estimated 2 million voters. The case of two states in 2014, the Election Commission of India ECI conducted two pilot programs on linking the voter ID with Aadhaar in the district of Nizamabad and Hyderabad, using the claim of effectiveness in removing duplicate votes. The ECI Election Commission of India called for a national consultation on Aadhaar and voter ID linking organized in Hyderabad in February 2015. The ECL launched the National Electoral Roll Purification and Authentication Program and NERPAP on April 1, 2015, which has to be completed by August 31, 2015 after Supreme Court of India order on August 11, 2015. It was announced that this NERPAP would be shut down. But as Telangana and Andhra Pradesh were early adopters of this program since 2014, both states have nearly completed Aadhaar and voter ID for all residents through the composite states of Andhra Pradesh was bifurcated in 2014. There was only one office of chief economic officers EO Telangana and Andhra Pradesh as the bifurcation procedure was not yet complete in 2015. Database integration, the Methodology followed by the ECI to find duplicate voters using Aadhaar is unknown to the generally public, nor in the is the information available in the public domain. Several applications under the Right to Information Act to the Chief Electoral Officer Telangana asking for this information have been in vain. In 2018, the ECI wrote back to the CEO asking for the methodology used in NARPEP for Aadhaar data collection after questions were raised about the ECI collecting Aadhaar data without the consent of voters in a letter April 25, 2018 from the CEO and CEO Andhra Pradesh then for Telangana and Andhra Pradesh to the ECI, it is clear that the state residence data hub applications of the government Telangana and Andhra Pradesh was used to curate electoral polls. The SRDH has data on residents of the state, which is supplied by the Unique Identification Authority of India (UIDAI) or collected further by the state government. The UIDAI initially created the SRDH to give states information on residents, similar to the other database without biometrics. Private parties now maintain the SRDH, while the UIDAI was constant not to collect data on caste, religion, and other sensitive information data for other Aadhaar. It recommended to the states to collect this information if required as part of the Aadhaar data collection. It termed the process as you know your residents and know your resident plus KYR plus in Telangana and other and Andhra Pradesh. The state governments also conducted state census where voter data, other data 360 degrees profiling with the details such as caste, religion, bank accounts, and other sensitive personal information were also collected. These state census survey were called the Samagra Kutumb Survey 2014 and Smart Pulse Survey 2016. The SRDH are now a part of the state surveillance architecture targeted at the civilian populate. It is these SRDH application that the ECI used to curate electoral rolls, which resulted in the deletion of a sizable number of voters from the list in Telangana in 2018. It is not just Telangana, but across India, the ECI has already linked Aadhaar and voter IDs of those close to 30 crore people, resulting in voter deletion unuttered. Question 2673, Rajya Sabha of January 2019. Disenfranchisement, disenfranchisement. The role of the ECI to verify voters using door-to-door verification in 2015 has been subsumed based on RTI replies from the ECI and the widely reported in 2018 after the Telangana Assembly election in the summer. A software algorithm commissioned by the government for virtually unknown to the public and maintained by a private IT company is in control now, while the role and autonomy of the ECI itself is speculative. Subjecting key electoral rules to surveillance software damages the concept of universal adult suffrage. What the experience in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh highlights is voter suppression and disenfranchisement. A mock election in October 2021 was conducted in Telangana by the State Election Commission with a smartphone using face recognition, voter ID, Aadhaar number, and phone number for authentication while voting. While voting, this was tweeted by the collector Khamam. This method kills the sacred ballot in a situation where the role of money makes a mockery of the democratic process. Link Aadhaar will be futile. Electronic voting machine EVM say foolproof. Pure put an end to the days of booth capturing prevalent in the days of paper ballots. But these manifestations are about to bring the age back. E-voting can also be gamed using malware to change the outcome of an election. While the bill does not look into large scale e-voting, there is an issue of ensuring electoral integrity. The Aadhaar and Aadhaar vote ID linkage will also help political parties create voter profiles and influence the voting process. Online trends on the day of voting and micro targeting voters using their data will make it easier for political parties income in power to use data for election. A ruling coalition will always have an advantage with the data it purchases. An example is of the chief ministers from certain states being asked to get the data of the beneficiaries of welfare schemes. How this data was used in 2019 election as a pointer, the way Aadhaar has been pushed across the country has been undemocratic and unconstitutional. Since its inception, Aadhaar has several fake and duplicate names which has been widely documented. The linking of Aadhaar with voter ID will create complexities in the voter database that will be hard to fix. This process will introduce errors in electoral rolls and vastly impact India's electoral democracy. Thank you. So we have covered first page and entire editorial page. So now we are ending this paper reading. So thank you. We will meet on 29 December. If you have any question, you can write in comment or you can directly contact to my WhatsApp number. And you can get my WhatsApp number through my uh, Google Play Store account, where I have already published many applications. Like you can download from Mail Center. You can type you can type Mail Center Vijay. You can get my name Vijay Kuswa from there. After clicking the Vijay Kuswa, you will get all the application I have developed and deployed on Google Play Store. So you can download. WhatsApp Saver, WhatsApp Assist, in which you can save your WhatsApp status also, and there is a one link like mentioned about us, that means developer information. From there also you can get my personal information like WhatsApp number, email ID, and photo and other things also. So please like this video and subscribe this channel as much as possible. If you are liking this, if you are enjoying this video, so comment us so we can improve the session next day. And please read the newspaper as I am reading, so your speaking and learning skills will be improved day by day. Thank you so much for, and have a cheerful day. Thank you.